Doesn't that even sound like a winning song? Do some of you just want to, dance to that? Hey, it's so good to have you guys today. It's so good to be with you guys today. If you don't know me yet, my name's Chris. I'm one of the pastors here. Hey, I want to start out asking you some questions, and you need to decide which you would choose, okay? You don't have to say it out loud, just choose in your mind. But here's what I want to say. Don't choose what you really think you want, okay, versus like what you think you should want because you're in church right now. You know the difference that I'm talking about, okay? It's okay? Here's the first one. So, which would you rather choose, okay? A dream home for free. It could be wherever you want. The ocean, the mountains, the city, in the sun. Heck, maybe you in the snow. I don't know, right? Your dream home for free or guaranteed peace in the home you live in now? Which would you choose? How about this one? Dream vacation for free. Every 6 months. Heck, once a quarter even. Wherever you want. Anywhere, it's free. It's going to be amazing. Or guaranteed peace in your everyday life. How about this one? Given $1 million. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Wow. Get $1 million. That's pretty cool, right? Joe cool, Sally cool, get $1 million given to you, or guaranteed wisdom to use money wisely. How about this one? Your dream job. It's your jobby job, your dream job. Think about what that might look like, right? Or maybe some of you in it right now. Your dream job or guaranteed to fix one of your biggest internal struggles? Which one would you choose? Or how about this one? Man, maybe you've just grown up and you always knew that you just wanted to make a difference, and you know that a way to make a difference is to become a person of influence. So would you rather choose to be a person of this big and massive influence? Or would you choose guaranteed to fix one of your deepest insecurities? They're tough, right? It's like, but the home, the job. But man, peace sounds really good too. Now, I want to say this up front. I realize that tangible things or material blessings or tangible blessings can make things easier at times or make life more enjoyable here and there. I totally get that. And I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with the tangible blessings that I mentioned. None of them are bad. Sometimes, though, we have to think beyond good or bad or right or wrong and think about what's better. Because as we're going to see in the Bible, what God does within is, it's not that these outward or tangible blessings are bad, but what God does within is even better than having these tangible blessings. And the reason he thinks it's better? Hint, because he knows it will be better for you. He knows it will be better for you. So let's go to the Bible to see some things that God might think are better. Proverbs 17 says this. It says, better a dry crust. That's all you get. Dinner is served. Better a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. See, sometimes verses like Proverbs 17 can bring misunderstanding when we read them with the right or wrong or good or bad type of lens. Is it bad to have more? Is it wrong to want to move forward and advance in life? Does God want me to have more than a crust? Hopefully, God? Is that all you want me to have, as a crust? See, if we're not careful, we can hear verses like this and think God is someone who's limiting or is intentionally withholding just for withholding's sake. But like I mentioned, there's nothing wrong with these tangible outer blessings, but think better. God's not mad at a house full of feasting. If you can have it with peace, I'm sure he's fine with it. I'm sure he's fine with it. But he knew, this is what he knew. He knew that the chase for more would be so enticing that we might chase for more at the cost of our peace. And if it costs us our peace, it's better to have peace even if we have less tangibly. Is that making sense? You follow me so far? See, this is what God knows. And this is why it's better within. Because it doesn't matter if you have more. Listen to this. It doesn't matter if you have more. If your heart is empty, your house will seem empty too. No matter how big it is. Even if it's your dream home. Why? Because like we've been saying, what's going on within wins out every single time. But let's look at another verse to see what God thinks is better. And you're going to notice that it's within again. It says this in Proverbs 16, better a patient person than a warrior. One with self-control than one who takes a city. Think about this for a moment, how much value a warrior has. Wow, man, he was just a warrior on the field. He willed his team to victory, and now you have a $250 million contract. Right? Or, wow, look at the physique of that warrior. Woo-hoo! Or, wow, she was a warrior on the battlefield. She fought valiantly for her country. Again, I want you to be thinking better, not bad. A warrior has value, but God says it's better to be patient. Why? Because the person you are within wins every time. If you can be a patient person with God's help, he's telling us that that's better than being a strong fighter. And oh, by the way, when you're patient, you will win a lot of wars. Waiting people out, being patient. Wow, that person that won over the city with their charismatic leadership, that was incredible how they did that. Again, same. Not this tangible outward thing that happens, not bad, but there's something better. There's value in winning over people. But to God, it's even better to have self-control. Because what good is it if someone wins over a city and then they're dishonest with that city? But a person of self-control that says, oh, you know what, God, I need to have control in this area. I need to watch my words. I need to make sure that I'm being a person of honesty, a person of integrity. Here's another example from the Bible. There was this king named Solomon, and God tells Solomon that he could ask him for whatever he wants. Could you? Wow. Like, isn't that like the dream? Like, God, would you please tell me that. Tell me that I can ask you for whatever I want. Could you imagine if God said that to you? What would Solomon ask for? Listen in to part of his answer. It's in 1 Kings 3. He says this, your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? Again, I'm going to keep saying this. The tangible blessing, it's not bad, but Solomon went after something better. Solomon asked for something within. Give me wisdom. He could have easily asked for tangible blessings. Man, help us to be the most powerful kingdom ever. Will we win every war? Help me to be the wealthiest king ever. Help me to be the most famous king ever. But again, think better. Solomon looked within and saw what he needed. He didn't look at the outside, at the tangible and say, this is what I need. He looked within and said, God, this is what I need. And God loved Solomon's request. Listen in to part of God's response. He said this, since you have asked for this, and not for long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment and administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Wow. Wow. And Solomon, guess what? He would have a chance to express his newfound wisdom that he got from God. Because one day, two women, I want you to put yourself in Solomon's shoes right now if you had to deal with this situation and make a decision on this situation. Two women came to Solomon, and the first woman responds this way. She's like, you know what? Both of us have babies. Both of us have baby boys. This woman's baby died in the middle of the night. It wasn't on purpose, but on accident. She fell asleep and she accidentally laid on him and he suffocated. But what happened is when she realized that her baby died, she came over to me while I was sleeping, took my baby and replaced her dead baby with my baby who's still alive. And the reason I know this is because I know what my baby looks like. How many mama bears in the room, you know what your babies look like, right? We know who our kids are. But then the other woman was like, no, she's lying. Her baby died. Don't believe her. And they just kept going back and forth and back and forth. Again, put yourself in Solomon's shoes. Crap. What is Solomon supposed to do? He doesn't have the latest, greatest iPhone video evidence to see what happened here. He doesn't have the DNA tests weren't around back then. He didn't have any of that stuff. What was he supposed to do? It was just one mother's word against another. And think of the magnitude of this decision. If he gets it wrong, he gives the baby to the wrong mother. Wow. What did he need? Did he need wealth in that moment? Did he need that tangible outward blessing? Or did he need something within called wisdom? Let's look at his response. He says, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave the order, really weird, cut the living child in two and give half to one. Let's just be fair about this one. I'm a fair, just, right? Since you're both saying it's yours, cut the living one in two and give half to one and half to the other. You might be thinking like, Solomon, this wisdom thing that you asked for from God, I don't know if it's working. Because now both babies are going to die, right? The real mother, but get this, because of that weird request, or I should say weird command, the real mother begged Solomon not to kill her baby and give him to the other woman. So because of this wisdom that almost felt weird, the real mom's heart was revealed, and so he gave the baby back to her. Do you see why God's work within is better? Solomon helped avert a family disaster. And this also happened. Listen in, it says this. When all Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. Now, I want to think about this story from another angle. Let's pretend that Solomon, when God said, hey, ask for me whatever you want, let's pretend that Solomon would have asked for, you know what, I just want this tangible blessing. I want people to be in awe of me, and I want a favor in the eyes of the people. Again, not wrong. Let's just think better. Let's pretend that God answered that prayer, but he didn't end up giving Solomon the wisdom, and he still faced this situation with the two mothers. We don't know for sure, because that's not how the story played out. But if he didn't have wisdom, God's wisdom, Solomon may have foolishly made a decision that ended up destroying the only chance the mother had at getting her son back. In fact, maybe they would have been in awe of him and God would have given that to him. And then they were like, wow, you made a foolish decision. And then the awe and the favor was gone. Or what if Solomon would have been like, this is what being a king means? It's making these types of decisions? I don't know what to do. Who is the mother? I don't know. And he was paralyzed with indecision. Man, this is destroying me inside. I don't even know if I want to be king anymore. Guys, I hope you're seeing this. Do you see why winning within can be better? Because even when we outwardly make it, it may be hard to keep it if within isn't being taken care of. Let me give an example from mine and Robin's marriage. About halfway into our marriage, we faced our deepest disconnect that we've ever had. And I remember what I felt. You know, when you're in a disconnect, there's times where, whether it's because you're tired or you just like, okay, we've been going through this for a while, where maybe you don't not even care that day. Like, I don't even care this day if we're not on, like whatever. But I remember the moment where it like really hit me when I was like, wow, now we're both trying again and we both care to try and we're still in deep disconnect. And literally, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I got really desperate and it drove me to my knees. And I remember asking God for this tangible blessing that I could see. And I said, God, please, like, this is bad. We're both trying and we're still deeply disconnected. And I said, God, please help us to get back to connecting with one another. Again, it was an outward, tangible thing that I could see. And guess what? I woke up the next morning after that deep, desperate, crying-filled prayer, and we were still disconnected. Now, did God answer that prayer? Robin, raise your hand so there's proof that God answered that prayer, obviously, eventually. Thank God. And again, was there anything wrong with that prayer? No, but maybe I could have asked a better prayer. God, we are deeply disconnected right now. Could you do something within me that will help us get back to connection? I think when we pray within prayers, sometimes it brings our expectations realism. Because it's so easy to be like, God, I prayed yesterday for the outward. It still hasn't happened. It still hasn't happened. It still hasn't happened. But if we were to go inward, within, oh, you know what? This is going to take some time. You know why? Because God's going to need to build some understanding in me. He's going to need to build some understanding in her. He's probably going to need to build some patience in me. He's going to probably need to build some forgiveness in Robin. So who got the blame? See how subtly I got the blame for everything? When you're married over 10 years, you know that it's no, I'm just teasing. Actually, I'm not really, but just don't want to look too bad in your guys' eyes. Guys, I want you to even think of it from this angle, and then we're going to get into some examples maybe for your life. What good it would have been if he would have answered my tangible outward prayer the next day, but because he didn't build within, we couldn't maintain what he gave us. But when we have patience and wisdom and understanding and forgiveness within, that maintains oftentimes the tangible blessings that God gives us in a relationship. So I want you to think about some of the things you feel you need or want tangibly, okay? And I've been saying this throughout the whole series. Again, don't think wrong or bad tangibly. They're not wrong or bad, but is there something better? I want you to keep praying for those tangible things, but as you think of those requests, is there something within that God needs to do? Let me give a few more examples so you just don't have a relational example. Maybe for some of you, you got the diagnosis that you've been fearing for years. Or someone close to you got the diagnosis that you've been fearing for years, and you're praying for that tangible blessing of healing. Keep praying that, but you know what you may also need? God, would you build trust in me so I can be at peace? I don't know if you're going to heal me or not. I don't know if you're going to heal my kid or not. I don't know if you're going to heal my spouse or my father or my brother or my friend. And so because I don't know that, can you build peace within my heart? Or for some of you, you're like, man, I just want to start moving forward in my finances. I'm sick of seeing my bank statement as negative. And keep praying that prayer that God will provide, that God will provide. But maybe you also need the wisdom to know how to be content so that you don't go too far and ignore or ignore relationships just to try to get ahead so that bank statement looks better and better and better and better. We all have limits. The Bible even tells us, again, God's not mad at rich, or God's not mad at wealth, but he does say don't get weary. Don't burn yourself out trying to get it. It's within. Or maybe, like with me and Robin, maybe you have a relationship in your life, a spouse, a kid, a friend, a family member. And you have this tangible blessing of like, God, I want the connection back. Maybe along with that prayer, it's, would you help me to stay faithful until that happens? Would you maybe help me to understand their side better of why they're disconnected from me? Would you build patience in my heart? Or maybe some of you, you're wanting to advance in your career, and there's nothing wrong with that tangible ask. But maybe there's also something within. God, would you help me to stay patient if I do not get the promotion? Would you help me to not be bitter at that person if they get it and not me? Or as you're climbing the quote unquote corporate ladder, God, help me to stay kind because I see too many people backbite just to get the promotion. Help me to stay a person that's kind. Or again, maybe you've known your whole life. I asked one of these choices in the beginning. Maybe you've known your whole life that you're supposed to make a big difference and you want to become a person of influence. And there's nothing wrong with that because when you become a person of influence, that's often how you can make a difference in someone's life. But maybe, since we know that how we truly make a difference is by loving others, that the within is, God, would you help me love others? Because that's how you tell me, instead of help me to become a person of influence, help me to become a person of influence, help me to become a person, God, please, I just want to make a difference. And God's like, let me build love in your heart. You see how within is better? So as we start to close, if you want to, you don't have to do this, but you may want to close your eyes because it can just help you focus a little bit more. But I want you to start thinking about some of the tangible blessings that you've been asking for. And I just wonder if there's something deeper that God wants to do within, just like the examples I gave. Think of some of the requests that you've had before God as your heads are bowed and eyes are closed. Think of some of the requests that you've had before God in the past month. And maybe some of the requests you're seeing are tangible blessings, and you can keep praying for that. But is there something deeper within that God wants to do that would be better and that would help you even more? So take a moment or two just in silence between you and God, and then in a moment or two, Pastor Steve will come out and lead us.
Words. Many times we want God to be like a quick fix. And God's like, hey, how about the slow process of shaping your heart? A good example could be like, we're going to do a financial class. A good example could be like, 7 out of 10 Americans have credit card debt. So if you have it, don't feel bad. Most of us do. And then you end up fighting with your spouse about finances. We want a quick fix. God, drop 10K, right? So we don't fight anymore. Is that true though? How about this other one? God, help me not to fight about money, but to talk about money with my spouse. How about this one? God, help me to have self-control and live life below my means. God, help me to not try to impress everybody with something more expensive than I could afford. You see the difference between the quick fix versus the slow process of hearts being changed? So every time you see a need, like PK was saying, every time you see a need, start praying for your heart. What's the process that the Lord Jesus wants to do in your heart to achieve that goal? Let's all stand up and let's worship Jesus.